Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this shawl here. Now I cut mine short and made it a cowl for tutorial purposes. That way I could start on something else. But by all means, you just keep going with the repeat and make it as big as you want it and make it it'll make a beautiful, beautiful shawl if you just keep going with it. It's actually really pretty easy to do. Mostly just some chains and some double crochets actually. So let's go ahead and get started on this. Okay, for this project I'm using, this is from Hobium. It's their Karatopu Luxe yarn. It's a big cake. It is a lightweight 3, and I don't have to use this brand. Any lightweight 3 will work. I actually think a 4-weight will work also. This is an acrylic wool blend. A little bit of the streamers makes up the metallic. Now, like I said, I just made mine smaller. My shawl, like really small, like cowl form. But I think if you had 800 to 1,000 yards, if I would have completed this, I think there's like 900 yards in this. If I would have completed this, it would have been a very nice size shawl. But I cut it short so I could start on something else. I hope you guys can appreciate that. But by all means, you make it as big as you want. It'll be gorgeous when it's huge, big old shawl. So that's what I used. And then I'm going to be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Alright, I'd just like to take a second to ask you not to forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you look in the lower right hand corner of the screen right now, you'll see a little red subscribe button. If you click on that, you'll never miss any of my tutorials. Also, if you want to check me out on Facebook, you'll find a link to that below. And also, if you enjoy this video and you like this cowl / shawl, if you give it a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start off with a chain of 3. And then we're going to slip stitch into the first chain to form a ring. And now we're going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch. So we're going to work right back through the center of the ring, and we're going to work 3 double crochets. And then we're going to do a chain of 2. We're going to go back into the ring and work 3 more doubles. That'll end a row 1. You'll have 6 stitches. Go ahead and pull your tail, and usually that'll close up that center circle a little bit more. And then you can always sew it together later. So for row 2, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. That chain 1 does not count as a stitch. We're going to work 2 double crochets right there into the very first stitch. Always start with 2 double crochets no matter what row you're on, into the very first stitch. Now I'm going to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And then in the chain 2 space, I'm going to work 1 double crochet, chain 2, and 1 more double crochet. Just like that. Now I'm going to work 1 double crochet in these next 2 stitches. And in the last stitch, I'm going to put 2 double crochets. Always, no matter what row you're on, the last stitch always gets 2 double crochets. and that'll end row 2. And you should have 10 stitches now. So row 3 starts the repeat for the rest of the shawl. It's rows 3 through 7 is a repeat. So we'll start row 3 by chaining 1 and turning our work. Remember, always put 2 double crochets into the very first stitch. Now I'm going to chain 3. I'm going to skip 1 stitch and single into the next. And I'm going to repeat that until I get to my chain 2 space. Chain 3, skip 1 stitch and single into the next. So now I'm at my chain 2 space, and I'm going to put one double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet. Always, no matter what row you're on, this chain 2 space, the point of the shawl, always gets 1 double, chain 2, and 1 double. Now I'm going to start over here. Since I ended in a single crochet over here on the last stitch, I'm going to start with a single crochet. Then I'm going to chain 3, skip 1, and single into the next, and I will repeat that until I get to the end of the row. Chain 3, skip 1, and when I skip 1, I'm at the end. So the last stitch, always 2 double crochets into that last stitch. Just like that. And that'll end row 3. And you'll have 1, 2, 4 of the chain 3 spaces, and then you got your 1 chain 2 space of the point. Row 4, chain 1, turn our work. Start off 2 double crochets into the very first stitch. We're going to chain 3, skip this first stitch, and we're going to single crochet right through the first chain space. Then we're going to chain 3, and we're going to kind of repeat that. We're going to single crochet right into the next chain space. So we're kind of skipping that stitch there. And we're going to do this until we get to our chain 2 space. Chain 3. And here's our chain 2 space. We're going to skip this stitch and single crochet right here into the last stitch before our chain 2 space. That. And then we're going to work in the chain 2 space. Always the same thing. Oops. 1 double, chain 2, and 1 double. Now since we ended here with a single crochet, we're going to start here with a single crochet. Then we're going to chain 3. We'll be skipping that little stitch and single crocheting into the next chain space. I'm just going right into the space, single crochet, chain 3, and we just repeat this to the end. Single crochet into the next chain space, chain 3. When you make it to the end, you got your 2 stitches, you skip that one, and then the last one, 2 double crochets, always into the last stitch. And that'll end row 4, and now you'll have 6 of the chain 3 spaces, and then you'll have your 1 chain 2 space to the point. Row 5, chain 1 and turn, and it's kind of just a repeat of row 4. So we're just going to go ahead and put 2 double crochets into the first stitch, chain 3, skip this stitch here, and single crochet into the next chain space, chain 3, skip this stitch, and single crochet into the next chain space. And we do this until we get to our chain 2 space. Chain 3, single crochet into the next chain space, chain 3, and here is my chain 2 space, so there's no more chain 3s. I want to skip this single crochet and single crochet into the double crochet right here. And then in the chain 2 space, we'll work 1 double, chain 2, and 1 double. And since we ended here, our last stitch was a single crochet, we're going to start this over here. First stitch is going to get a single crochet, just like the previous row. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to chain 3, single crochet into the next chain space, chain 3, single crochet into the next chain space, and we're going to repeat this till we get to the end. Chain 3, single into the next chain space, chain 3. Now we're at our last 2 stitches. We're going to skip this one, and in the last one we're going to put 2 double crochets. That'll end row 5, and you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 chain spaces, and then this 8 chain 3 spaces, and then you'll have this 1 chain 2 space of the point. Row 6. So now we're going to chain 1 and turn, 2 double crochets into the very first stitch. Now we're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to work 2 double crochets into the next chain 3 space. 2 doubles, just right through the space. Now we're going to skip this single crochet, and we're going to work 2 doubles into the next chain 3 space. And that's what we're going to repeat until we get to the point of the shawl. 2 double crochets into the next chain 2 space, 2 double crochets again into the next chain 2 space, okay, right here is the chain 2 space at the point of the shawl. So I'm at the end. I'm going to put 1 double crochet in these last 2 stitches, so 1 right there into that single crochet, and 1 double crochet right here into this double crochet. And then in the chain 2 space, I will work my 1 double, chain 2, and another double. Now I'm going to work this side, doing the same thing I did over here. So I'm going to start off by putting a double crochet into this double crochet, a double crochet into the next single crochet to match what we did over here. Now I'm going to put 2 doubles into this next chain 3 space, and 2 doubles into every chain 3 space until we get to the end of the row. Alright, I've made it to the end and I have 2 stitches left. I'm going to skip this stitch, and in the last stitch I'm going to work 2 double crochets. And this will end row 6. And it's okay if it's kind of curling up on you. It will do that. That's fine. Don't worry about that. But now you'll have a total of 26 stitches. So row 7 is the last row of the repeat. So we're going to chain 1 and turn, 2 double crochets into the very first stitch, and then 1 double crochet in every stitch until we get to our chain 2 space. So it's just 1 double in every stitch now. Okay, I've made it to my chain 2 space. Now I'm just going to put 1 double, chain 2, and 1 double. And now I'm going to repeat on this side. What I did over here is just putting 1 double crochet in every stitch until I get to my last stitch. Alright, I've made it to my last stitch. End it. 2 double crochets into that last stitch. That'll end row 7. Okay, so now you'll have 30 stitches here, and it's gonna look a little wonky. Every time you finish these 2 rows of double crochet, it'll be kind of flipped up and it'll be kind of curved down a little bit. That's fine. That's how it's gonna look every single time you do your double crochet rows. But then when you do those 3 rows of chain spaces, it'll straighten it out. I don't know why it does that, but it does that. So don't worry about it if it's looking it looks a little weird. But once you get your next rows of chain spaces on, it'll straighten itself out. So now it's just a repeat of rows 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 5-row repeat. So for row 8, we're going to repeat what we did for row 3, which was the chain space. The first chain space row. We chained 1, and we turn. Always 2 double crochets into the first stitch, chain 3, skip 1, single into the next, chain 3, skip 1, single into the next, and we just repeat this until we get to our chain 2 space, the point of the shawl. Now every time you do your chain space rows, your last stitch will always be you'll always do a chain 3, and your last stitch will always be a single crochet right there before your chain 2 space on every chain space row, like that. And then you'll go into your chain 2 space and you'll work your 1 double, chain 2, and another double. And then we'll do the same thing over here. So since we ended in a single crochet here, we want to start with a single crochet right here. And then we just repeat. Chain 3, skip 1, single in the next, chain 3, skip 1, single into the next, repeat till we get to our last stitch. I chain 3, I have 2 stitches left. I skip 1 and always end with 2 double crochets into the last stitch. So that's all I'm going to do. I just repeated row 3. Now I'm just going to repeat row 4 and 5, which are the chain space rows, and 6 and 7 are the double crochet rows. And remember, once you get the chain space rows on, it'll straighten it out a little bit. Now you just keep repeating rows 3 through 7 until you get your shawl as large as you want it to be. Like I said, 800, 1,000 yards, that'll be a very, very pretty shawl. And then once you finish, you can go across the top. I didn't do it yet with the row of single crochet and clean it up if you want to, which I probably will here when I'm done. But this is what the repeat rows start to look like. Every time, you just keep getting more chain spaces every row, more double crochets every row. But you can see the repeat right there. It's actually pretty. Yarn's pretty too. It's real lightweight. So there it is. Rows 3 through 7. You just keep repeating it until your heart's desire. However big you want it. You can do it the same size as me, or you can do it huge and make it a beautiful shawl. Now I did a total of 35 rows. You know, I didn't do that many, but if I were you, my suggestion would be to end in the 3 rows of chain spaces, so it'll straighten out that row of double crochet. If you want to add fringe or shell edging or something, that would look pretty too. But that's it. That's all there is to do. That's all there is to this. It's a repeat of rows 3 through 7. I think it turned out pretty nice. I like it. I might eventually add more to it one day. But for now, I stopped it so I could start on something else. But I hope you enjoyed my tutorial, and I hope that you were able to follow along okay. Remember, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down there in the lower right hand corner, and don't forget to check me out on Facebook. If you make this, especially, I mean, I'd really love to see it. If you make it into a huge shawl, I mean, you got to show me a picture on Facebook. The link to that's below in the description box. Also, don't forget to give this video a like if you like the shawl or you like this cowl, and you found it easy to follow. I'd really appreciate it. And you probably see my face on the screen right now. Click on that face. Click on my face and you'll be subscribed too if you're not subscribed yet. So thanks everybody for watching, and until next time, have a good day.